Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're exploring the fascinating and honestly pretty complex dual reality of what is arguably the world's ultimate super app. Yep, we're talking about WeChat. Let's get right into the explainer.
Imagine this for a second. What if one single app controlled your entire digital life? Seriously, you wake up, message a friend, pay your electric bill, order a coffee, and then book a doctor's appointment, all without ever leaving that one app. No toggling between a dozen different icons on your phone, just one completely seamless, interconnected universe.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the scale we're dealing with here is truly staggering. We are talking about more than 1.4 billion active users relying on this platform every single day. Launched by Tencent back in 2011, it hasn't just grown, it has fundamentally rewired how an entire society interacts with technology.
To wrap our heads around this, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the app for everything, then look at WeChat versus WhatsApp. Next, setting up your account, followed by winning on WeChat. Then we'll get into the two systems, and finally, the hidden cost.
All right, Section 1, the app for everything. You know, when WeChat first launched, it was essentially just a basic messaging tool. But today, it has evolved into this massive digital ecosystem. Sure, it still handles instant messaging and voice calls, but then you add in WeChat Pay, a digital wallet that practically replaced cash. Then there are mini programs, which are basically these lightweight, built-in apps where you can hail a taxi, pay bills, or even register at hospitals. Throw in Moments, their social feed, and Enterprise WeChat for work, and you realize users literally live their entire digital lives inside this single platform.
Moving on to Section 2, WeChat versus WhatsApp.
Now, putting these two side by side really highlights their totally different philosophies. On one hand, WeChat is this super app ecosystem built entirely around absolute functional convenience. It's all about removing every ounce of friction from your daily life. On the other hand, you've got WhatsApp, which acts as a lean messenger focused on minimalist simplicity and private communication. WhatsApp just wants to be an efficient, clean channel for chatting, whereas Tencent's vision was to build a comprehensive digital infrastructure for, well, everything.
So, Section 3, setting up your account. If you're looking to actually get inside this walled garden, here is the exact step-by-step. Step 1, you download the app and tap Sign Up. Step 2, carefully choose your region and enter your phone number. Step 3, punch in that SMS verification code. Step 4, set up your profile with your name and photo. And then Step 5, well, this is where it usually gets tricky for new users. You have to be verified by an existing WeChat user who physically scans your QR code. It's a strict gatekeeping measure, so you really can't just join anonymously without having some sort of connection on the inside.
And once you actually make it in, setting up WeChat Pay is an absolute must, especially if you're traveling to China, which is pretty much a cashless society at this point. Now, even if you don't have a Chinese bank account, foreigners can complete real-name authentication using their passport and then link an international Visa or MasterCard. You'll generally have a standard 6,000 RMB transaction limit, but having this ready is absolutely crucial. You'll need it for hospitals, public transport, and offline shopping. Without it, you're going to find yourself stuck in long lines looking for the few remaining cash windows.
That brings us to Section 4, winning on WeChat.
Now, Western brands often really struggle when they try to market themselves on WeChat. Why is that? Well, this quote from Comms8 hits the nail on the head. To thrive on WeChat, brands must shift from campaign-based thinking to ecosystem building. See, in the West, a brand might just coast on its legacy or global name recognition. But Chinese consumers, they evaluate brands based on local relevance and actual user experience. Brands have to step up and act as helpful assistants, offering real services like booking tools or educational content, instead of just blasting out traditional ads.
So, the crucial point here is how you're actually measuring success. Brands absolutely need to abandon those vanity metrics. Instead, track what really matters. We're talking about the open rates of official account messages, the actual time users spend on mini program pages, repeat purchases directly from campaigns, and the redemption rates of loyalty rewards. These are the KPIs that measure actual, delivered value within the ecosystem.
All right, shifting gears to Section 5, the two systems.
To really understand WeChat on a global scale, you have to grasp its one app, two systems architecture. On one side, you have Weixin. These are accounts registered with mainland China phone numbers, and they're subject to strict local terms and censorship. On the flip side, you have WeChat, which applies to international accounts. These operate under completely different terms of service, and the data is stored overseas.
Looking at the breakdown, WeChat is heavily monitored and censored in accordance with Chinese law, which prohibits content deemed to endanger state security, and its servers are located directly in China. But conversely, the international version, WeChat, operates with no explicit political censorship of messages between international users, and stores its data on servers in places like Singapore or the Netherlands. So while it's the exact same app interface, they are legally and physically completely separate systems.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 6, the hidden cost.
And this brilliantly illustrates some fascinating research uncovered by the Citizen Lab, showing how visual-based algorithms compare images to blacklists. Here's how it works. When a user in mainland China sends an image that's deemed politically sensitive, optical character recognition and visual algorithms automatically flag it. The system then quietly hides that image from the recipient without ever notifying the sender that their message was blocked. It is completely invisible censorship.
Now, managing all of that in real time is computationally super expensive. So the system uses something called an MD5 hash. Think of it as a unique digital fingerprint for a specific file. Once an image is flagged as restricted, its MD5 hash gets added to a massive index. Then, anytime that exact file is sent again across the network, the system instantly recognizes the fingerprint and filters it out of the real-time chat.
But here is the really astonishing part regarding international accounts. While international WeChat messages are not actively censored, the files and images sent by those international users are still silently monitored. If a sensitive image is shared outside of China, it doesn't get blocked, but its data is still used to build that MD5 hash index. So, practically speaking, international data invisibly trains the domestic censorship system, effectively enhancing the surveillance apparatus for users back in mainland China.
It's a pretty profound revelation, right? And it leaves us with a really significant question to end on. Is ultimate digital convenience worth the price of absolute surveillance? It's a highly complex trade-off wrapped inside the world's most powerful super app, and for sure, it's something to ponder as all of our digital ecosystems continue to grow. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you a clearer picture of the dual reality of WeChat.